All right, let's dive in. Today we're exploring something that really promises to shift how you approach, well, pretty much everything.
Yeah, we're talking emotional intelligence, EQ.
Exactly. And we're drawing heavily from Marcus A. Wright's work, Unlocking Your Emotional Edge, Right Mentality EQ.
hmm And the goal here really is to understand how mastering your own emotions, that internal world, can actually help you tackle external challenges.
Right. It's not just some abstract idea. It's presented as a core skill set for, navigating life, career, relationships, the lot.
Totally. The central point seems to be that EQ isn't just a nice to have, like a soft skill.
Yeah, not just interview fluff.
Not at all. It's framed as this critical toolkit. Affects how you connect, handle stress, make decisions. It's fundamental. Understanding, using, even controlling emotions.
And it kind of pushes back on that old idea, doesn't it? The one we all sort of absorb.
You mean the IQ thing? That being super smart is the main ticket to success.
Yeah, exactly that.
Well, this source and others argue it's largely a myth, or at least not the whole picture.
It's not the whole story. Psychologists apparently started seeing a disconnect. They looked at people doing really well.
High achievers. Yeah.
And the link between their IQ scores and, say, long-term career success or wealth or even just happiness, it wasn't nearly as strong as people thought.
So being book smart helped, obviously, but it didn't explain why some people really took off and others didn't.
Exactly. That gap, that's what got researchers like Daniel Goleman digging deeper.
Right, Goleman. His work really paved the way here.
It did. And what he found, and what frameworks like Wright's build on, is that top performers weren't just analytically sharp. They were masters of understanding feelings.
Yep.
Their own and other people's.
Okay, so practically speaking, what did that look like?
Well, they could, identify what they were feeling, figure out why, and then this is key channel those feelings constructively, not just react.
And they had this knack for sensing the emotional state of others. Reading the room, basically. Huge for teamwork, leadership.
And the source basically says those skills, self-awareness, managing emotions, understanding others, that's the core of EQ. That's what unlocks potential.
Precisely. That's the argument.
So let's get into the nuts and bolts. The material lays out 5 categories.
The 5 categories of right mentality EQ,
Yeah.
And they're presented not just as traits, but as skills you can build. Foundations for performing well.
Okay, let's take the first one. Self-awareness.
Right. Described as your internal radar.
So knowing what you're feeling when you're feeling it.
Exactly. Like recognizing, okay, I'm getting annoyed here. Or, wow, this deadline is making me anxious right in the moment.
And the power there is choice.
Yes. If you know what you're feeling as it's happening, you're not just automatically reacting. You get that split second to decide your response. Like catching frustration before you snap in a meeting, that's self-awareness in action.
Makes sense. So from internal radar to social awareness. The external sensor.
This is about turning into others, reading their emotional cues.
Body language, tone of voice, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Understanding the emotional temperature of a situation or what someone else might be experiencing, even if they aren't spelling it out.
So it helps you gauge the room before you, say, start a tricky conversation.
Precisely. You walk in, you get a feel for the vibe, and you can adjust. It's like empathy's precursor, in a way.
Okay. So you're aware of yourself, aware of others. What's next? Emotional control. The command center.
Yeah, this is about managing your own emotional responses.
Not suppressing feelings, though.
No, not at all. It's about regulating them, directing them intentionally, choosing how you react to a feeling, rather than letting the feeling drive the bus.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed.
Right. Emotional control isn't about not feeling overwhelmed. It's recognizing it, acknowledging it, and then maybe consciously deciding, okay, deep breath, what's the very next small step I can take? Instead of just freezing, you're directing that energy.
Got it. Okay, and that links to empathy then, the bridge to others.
It builds on social awareness, definitely. But empathy is deeper. It's about genuinely connecting with and understanding what someone else is feeling.
So not just recognizing they're sad, but kind of feeling with them, trying to grasp their perspective.
Exactly. It's stepping into their shoes emotionally. That's where real connection happens, right? When you can say, wow, I can see how that must feel and mean it. Builds trust like nothing else.
Okay. And the last one, emotional well-being, baseline for greatness.
This is sort of the overall foundation.
Yeah.
Your general state of resilience, mental, emotional, social.
Like having a positive outlook.
Yeah.
Being able to bounce back.
Yeah, resilience, satisfaction, that inner strength.
Yeah.
The source argues that without a solid baseline here, consistently using the other 4 skills, especially under pressure, well, it's much harder.
It's the platform everything else stands on.
Pretty much. And, the source is clear. Nobody starts out perfect across all 5. You'll have stronger areas, weaker areas. That's normal.
Right. Which brings us to a pretty bold claim in the material.
Ah, yes. That EQ is the single best predictor of success.
Across every area of life, career, relationships, the whole deal, dictating your ceiling.
That's what it says. It's a strong statement.
Why that strong? What's the reasoning?
Well, think about those pillars. How you manage stress, communicate, build teams, motivate yourself after setbacks, lead. These are the actions that determine outcomes day to day, often more than just raw intellect or technical skill. EQ drives how you apply what you know.
So it's about the execution, the navigation of the human element.
Exactly. And that's where assessment comes in. The source positions a good EQ test, not just as like a personality quiz.
But as a strategic tool.
Right. A validated test, meaning it's actually researched to measure these skills accurately. It shows you your strengths where you're already solid.
But crucially also the weaknesses, the challenge areas.
Gives you that objective data. Okay, maybe my self-awareness is high, but my emotional control under pressure needs work. It pinpoints where to focus.
Like an X-ray for your emotional skills.
That's a good way to put it. And the really hopeful part, it's trainable.
The muscle analogy.
Yep. Think of EQ skills like muscles. Some are naturally stronger, others need hitting the gym, metaphorically speaking.
So you can improve even in those challenge areas.
Absolutely. With focused effort and intentional practice, you can significantly build up any aspect of EQ.
So the test isn't just a diagnosis, it's the start of a workout plan.
A precise roadmap, yeah. It gives you the map to target those weaker areas and build your overall EQ into, as the source puts it, a real force multiplier.
It's fascinating, really, reframing success away from just smarts towards, well, emotional capability.
Yeah, understanding how to navigate that inner world to be more effective in the outer one.
So the big takeaway for anyone listening.
I think it's that the old IQ-centric view missed something huge.
Yeah.
Success, resilience, good relationships, they're tied deeply to these emotional skills.
And critically, you can get better at them. It's not fixed.
Definitely not fixed. It's a skill set you can develop. And understanding your own profile, maybe through assessment, gives you a starting point.
This whole deep dive drawing on Wright's work really emphasizes that EQ isn't just nice. It's about effectiveness, adaptability, reaching your potential by mastering that emotional dimension.
It really challenges you to look inward, understand how you tick emotionally, and then use that understanding strategically.
Okay, so let's leave everyone with something to chew on. A final thought.
Right.
Thinking about those 5 pillars again: self-awareness, social awareness, emotional control, empathy, and emotional well-being. If you had to pick just one of those emotional muscles, maybe one you feel could use a bit more training, which would it be? And just imagine what might happen if you intentionally decided to work on just that one area, even a little bit, starting today. How could focusing on, say, improving your empathy or getting better at controlling impulsive reactions, how might that shift things for you this week in your conversations, your decisions?
Where's that untapped emotional edge hiding for you? Worth thinking about.